Hello guys, once again, we're doing a little edit walkthrough of one of my images. This time with the awesome Christopher, who's doing Nathan Drake cosplay from Uncharted, of course. Now Christopher has become a good friend. We met through cosplay. Not only is he a Nathan Drake, he also does Geralt from The Witcher, Captain America, Boba Fett, and so on. So very, very talented cosplayer, and we had an awesome shoot together with Line, the Danish Lupin, and Christian, Kred Pops, who's also, and they're also good friends now. So really, really great stuff. This image was also featured on Naughty Dog's Instagram as well. It got over 30,000 likes, which we're very happy about. A lot of angry comments as well that it wasn't something about The Last of Us. But anyhow, let's jump into this image here. This image was actually taken outside in the forest near my own home in Denmark. And as you can see here, this is the original image. And I did have an idea of that I wanted to do something that resembled the cover. So it is inspired by the cover from Uncharted, however, not a one-to-one remake. So I had Christopher, and he already prepped this pose here. So he did it actually as a bit of an afterthought after we'd done the main part of the shoot. So adding this in, this is of course the most important thing, the pose here. What I then did is of course cropped him out. I added a little bit of remove some of the shadows, decreased the highlights as well in the camera filter raw. And then it's all about adding in the background, and that is often the most difficult thing, looking at unsplash.com, Pixabay, whatever, just to find the right background image. And often it will look really, really weird once I put it in, because I kind of have a feel of what it will end up looking like. So if we look at here, I tried this image, and then I tried another one, and then actually ended up using this image here, which isn't very epic looking, but I thought it had the right kind of abilities and or the right kind of conditions that I really wanted here. So if we just look at the background, I added in a couple of other things. I added in some, started to do the light behind him, which will be very heavy in the final image. Started out by just adding a few shadows to the corners, tweaked a little bit in the hue saturation. It was very, very green, so it's more over to a turquoise in this image here. And then adding layer by layer, making the borders more dark, and then still keeping the center image pretty light. Adding in an overlay effect of a lens flare, as you can see here, adding even more to his side, top light as well. And some of my favorite thing, adding in particles. I don't know if it shows up in the video, but adding that is also important. Again, once again, darkening the sides, adding even more light here, start to looking a little bit more like it should. And then it's really all about, as I said in my previous images, all about matching Christopher with the background. If you don't have the right colors and the right tones, the right tints, it'll just not look right. So what I did is that I started adding some rim light here. As you can see, may be able to see it, that there's a bit of rim light here. So just starting to add that as well, adding in some hues. And as you can see here, I'm just building up. So I have a curve layer here which actually changes his color. So you can see there's a green tint in this as well. Then I added a little bit of shadow on the lower half of him, and then I added some dark curves adjustment layer. And this is, once again, if you have a backlight, you really need to consider that the front needs to be quite dark actually, and I'm going to darken him even more later. Then I added a bit of dodge and burn. Again, you can see here even darker. And what I also did is that, let's just add these in. I had some palm leaves actually on that I had here in the top of the image, and I did actually do some shadows on him. So as you can see here, I'm adding in some shadows from the palm leaves. Just a nice little detail that I thought was great. You might not have noticed them in the final image, but that's at least what I wanted to do, just to convey that sensation of him standing in a clearing. Then I added in some different bush and shrubs and stuff like that. As you can see here, these are the original ones that I got from, I believe it's a PNG tree that I got them from, so they were already cropped or at least masked out. I removed them, and then I added them. I just did a little bit with the hue and saturation here, so it just matched the background. Then I added in a shadow, so a shadow for Christopher, as again the light is coming from behind. We're adding a shadow just in front of him. Again, adding in even more shadows in the corners, adding in more particles, which is a great effect, especially if you have some light going on. And then it's all about, as you can see, these are some of the palm leaves and trees that I found. So this is kind of like the original. And what I did is that I added them in, added some blurring effect, desaturated them a little, and just played around with the color tones as well. So I'm just going to add these in, and these are basically, most of them are actually the same image, just turned or played around with. These are the actually the some of the bushes from before, from the front, that I just enlarged and then again blurred and desaturated. Adding in even more shadows to the foreground, and again adding this foreground creates a lot of depth. As you can see here, you can really feel that he's standing away from you as you have some elements in the front, and that adds a good effect. What I didn't do as always is I put in a high pass, so you have some good details showing here. So what you can see here is that if I turn this off and turn it on, you can see that there's a lot more detail on his face. And then it's actually all about just compressing the image together and playing around with the whole image, adding some effects you can use, Nik Collection, you can use color overlays. But if you see here, what I did is that I changed the tone to a more blue kind of tone, because that's in the original image. I of course had this image as a reference, which you can see is in kind of like the same vein. But if you see the tones here, add in some more effects, and then I did with the color lookup and added a photo filter as well. And this is actually the final image. So a lot of different elements, and it took it took some time to find the elements and just get the right feel of it. So this is a quick walkthrough, and as you can see, once again, this is the original image, and this is the final image. So with that, I'll leave you to it, and see you again for another video.